Hi, this is Nathalie the blogger, and today it's time to do some wrap up for all of the October readings, and there are a lot, well, according to me, since I am not necessarily a huge reader, but with the Spookathon that happened October 15 to 21, obviously the amount is bigger, so let's start. First book that I'm going to talk will be Atlantis Rising by T.A. Baron, and I had a lot of expectations which fell down pretty much way down about Atlantis because it's supposed to be something story Atlantis, and it is not. Well, it is actually, but at the very end this is the story of the birth of Atlantis and the legend of Atlantis, but there is nothing connected to anything Greek mythology, which usually everything is connected to about Atlantis and Greek mythology. We have Promi, a young thief who live for anything sweet, pastry, pie, cake, whatever, name it, he's gonna steal and eat it. You're gonna say that that's it, yeah, apparently that's it. And the kingdom, Illigandia, which will be the future Atlantis, and it's not really revealing anything because you kind of get it pretty much since the beginning, is gonna be to a verge of being destroyed, if you want, somehow by dark magic, because you have the outer realm filled with the different gods. We don't know exactly which one, and you have the actual realm with humans. And on the human realm, you have one dark one that I completely forgot the name, who works with the villain god, and he wants to have the power for himself as well. So Promi has to work with a young lady, elemental one, who can connect and have magic with nature itself to keep magic intact and the world, Illigandia, and not to make it fall down. It was difficult to connect with that main character, Promi. Something with the female character as well, and actually everything. For me, the disappointment and the appreciation of the full story was because it was nothing about Atlantis, nothing even close from it, and I just couldn't pass that fact. Give it 3 stars. And probably was a generous 3 stars. I'm gonna make it right. Next read, and this is something that I really loved, The Boundless by Kenneth Opel. I heard about that book from Reagan with the Paris Project, and the way that she stole the story, even if I'm not sure if she read it or not, well, anyway, it interested me, I bought it, and I finally read it. And oh boy, it was quite an adventure, let me tell you. This is something that I couldn't put down. The Boundless, this is the name of a train, and the story happens in Canada. This is kind of a super train in the way that this is a 90 cars long train. Can you imagine that? 90 cars! 90 cars! And you have the distinction between, obviously, first class, second class, third class. You have the colony one, because we are way in the past. And I don't remember the other ones. Then you have a circus, which will cross from Halifax to Vancouver. William, the young one, who's joining his father to bring the train, so from East Coast to West, because they're gonna start a new life with the rest of the family in Vancouver. But during that time, during that travel, pretty much since the beginning, he's gonna face a particular situation that I can't tell otherwise it's gonna be take off, but sorry, that situation will put his life in danger. He is traveling in first class because of the situation of work of his father, and he will end up at the very last end of the train, and during the rest of the travel he will have and he will try his best to go back to the first class because there is a life and death danger for his father, and from his own life, because someone wants to kill him. As you can see onto the cover, at some point he will have to run onto the top of the cars and jump through it, even if it was in the darkness at night. And you have all the description of the different cars, specifically when you are in the first class. This is so extravagant, with some libraries, with chandeliers, and you have so much luxury inside. And so obviously, since we are talking about circus, he's gonna have the help of few people, two person from the circus. So you have some magical tricks inside, because he has to stay hidden from the bad ones. And it was so good, and I feel like I'm not giving you even the right feeling of it. I love the writing, I love the pace, everything was so good. It's a definite and a strong 5 stars. Next read was Omega City and the Forbidden Fortress by Diana Peterfront. This is the second part of the Omega City series. I started to read the first one, I think it was, well, February, March, beginning of the year. I finally went to that second one, and I read it in a day. 5 stars again. You follow the 4, I think, the 4 main characters that you have at the first one. So I think this is the middle grade that you will classify that like this. And in the first one, they discover Omega City, which was sort of a city bunkers that have been built years back in case of the end of the world, and it will be the last place for the survivors to live, to hide and to stay to live, but crumbles down, destroy anyway. So now all the family, with the parents as well, they have been invited to the Guided Technology to speak about their experience, specifically because the father has written a book about what happened for Omega City. And, well, you can guess, the bad ones that we have in the first installment, they are still around, and some things happened, obviously, while they are in that place. So you don't have as much adventure and thrilling stuff that happened during the first one, but it's still gripping and interesting. It's gonna be more, it's still around surviving, it's still about waking up as a species and to do the right thing at not destroying more of the earth, and how to survive, that space might be the only place to survive, and so how can we do that, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of research, and there's a lot of experiment, and obviously there's a lot of forbidden experience. Strongly advise you to read. I love that book. Second part of the Zodiac series, The Wandering Stars by Romina Russell. It's the aftermath of what happened in the first one with the Zodiac. So they are still trying to unify the Zodiac galaxy, the whole planet. They are still everyone at risk. Literally all of the Zodiac constellations are pretty much attacked. Ro, the main character, needs to cope with what happened, or the way that things happened during the first one, the death. So she has to find a way to find a different way to fight and to help at the same time, to unify everyone. So if you want, she needs to find a way to find her mojo back. I liked better the character this time, because it was for me more of a problem with her temper, or not the way that she should react anyway. So this time around she is good at the reactions. Why 4 stars? Like I said, I like it way better, so we're still going to the story and I still enjoy it, but The first thing that's really bugged me as a whole for this book, it's you feel from A to Z that this is a transition book, to the point that it could have been add into the first one, or maybe with the third one. I haven't read it yet, obviously, but it feels like this is a book to fill the gap. The other thing that really bugs me way more is this kind of love triangle. She's in love with two guys and she can't admit it. She wants them and she doesn't want them. It's love at first sight, but it's not the same thing. Is it something off because of something that will be revealed later? It's pretty much the whole time in your face. And anyway, for me, it was too much exhaustion. You have at least 1, 2, or 3 different situations happening that I can't tell. And this is so much a classic plot that you know exactly what is going to happen. I understand that you want to create that situation, but because this is such a classic trope, try to do it differently. It's taking away, well, that's my personal preferences and my opinion about it. But so despite everything that I kind of say with what I didn't enjoy, I still do like that series, and I still do plan to read the third one. Very fast and quick, including wrap-up if you want, with the Spookathon. I'm not gonna go into details because the wrap-up exists, so you're gonna find the link somewhere up above and you can go watch it. I read 3 different indies authors, cozy mystery and one mystery, and so it was The Gallery of the Dead. Wow, that was a long one. The Gallery of the Dead by Mary Bowers, Alice in Murderland by Samantha Silver, and Telling Lies by Ella Dobbs. Then I read The Dark Between by Sonia Gensler. I freaking loved it, and I talked about it into my wrap-up, so that's why I'm not gonna say more. The 5th one of the challenge that I wasn't able to finish on time, that I finished afterwards, was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. So now I can talk about it because it's finished. So it's more inside the October reading. Audrey Rose in London. I don't remember exactly, but it was the time of the Jack the Ripper, so Victorian time, I'm guessing. That young woman, she is passionate about the forensic and well, cadavers, it's just for the forensic science. So she is the apprentice of her uncle who's doing it. And she is in constant fight with her father because she is from a wealthy family, a noble one. She has a title, and so she is expected to act like a young girl or a woman from her class, and she is absolutely not. The victims of Jack the Rippers are coming for examinations, and stuff happened. Suspicion happened specifically around, well, not necessarily her family, specifically her uncle. And she's gonna do everything to prove his innocence. I would say that it was okay, like a 3 or maybe a generous 3.5. I was expecting more of stalking Jack the Ripper, but it wasn't really that. Who could have done it? Who could be Jack the Ripper was, well, the very one who was part of a group of person that you, from the beginning, from the top, you suspect them to be. So it's not inside, so it's not a spoiler, but they say that she is in love with Jack the Ripper. So this is the kind of detail that you are not saying because you obviously gonna put your suspicion into some specific person. So it's taking you some surprise away. Saying this, you cannot see coming the end as why this Jack the Ripper did what he did. And maybe I just can say that it smells like Frankenstein, but I'm not gonna say more. Her insistence at making her point as she is a woman and she can do everything like a man. So don't get me wrong, I totally agree with that. I really do, but I don't think that it's necessary to spend 400 pages at saying it. You just want to shut her up. It takes so much away from the story. So that for me is a big complaint. The middle of the story, it's a lot of wasting pages. It's really filling the book with nothing interesting because really nothing happened. Like nothing. It's not about more victims, more drama or else. It's really nothing happened. But that nothing doesn't bring anything, doesn't reveal anything. You can have stillness that still gives you a lot of information or still is captivating or not. But that wasn't captivating at all. And that was another aspect of the story that I think took a lot away from my appreciation at the end. I decided, because I still had time, to include another one. Yes, I know that there were 3 other books in my October TBR initially, and I decided that I really wasn't gonna read them, that it wasn't the time. I didn't feel like I wanted to go for them, so back onto the shelf. They're gonna be read at some point next year, but I needed something else, and I went with one of my ebook, and it was Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strausser. It's a thriller mystery, you can point it like that. I give it 3.7 stars. 5 different women from the same neighborhood, so they are living facing one another with the houses there, decided to have an evening, a night together in the backyard of one of them, in front of a pit fire, have some drinks, have some talk. Kids are at bed, and this is just the time for them. It appeared that they are drinking way too much, and apparently they are talking way too much that they would have wanted. The next day, the wake up is a bit hard, and they will discover that one of them has disappeared with her 2 children. Disappeared. And you have the police. They are investigating. This is pretty much the story. What happened to that woman and her kids? Are they still alive? So it's easy to come up with some different theories, like kidnapping, or she left her husband, or she was murdered. 50% of the book, you are, I want to know what's going to happen, what it is. And then you have nothing for 20%, almost 30%. And then you have the last 10%, then you have, again, it's grouping and you have your answers. Because it's annoying filling a book with pages, with empty things. If you need to have a 200 pages book, please get a shorter book, but have a really quality and consistent story. And anyway, I'm gonna stop there. I can say that the ending was satisfying. This is what I was suspected from the beginning. I will be curious if you read it, if you thought about it, and what was your level of excitement or else to reveal what happened, really. So it was a nice one, it was a good one, but the fact that you have for so long, it's almost 30% of the book, it's nothing, like really nothing happened. Boy, it's taking so much away that it is part of a disappointment. This is everything that I read in October. Maybe for you it's not that much. For me it was a lot. I really did enjoy my time. The It was my really first and not failure reading marathon, and I did like it. I hope that a few books that I read will be some interest for you, and I think there are some quite good ones inside. In the meantime, thank you for subscribing to this channel. It means a lot. Building some viewers and some readers just like me, and starting to exchange with everything that we read and our thoughts and sharing opinions. That's exciting and thrilling. So until the next time, have some wonderful reading. I can't wait to hear.